What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Riddles Around the World with me, your host, Johnny, and my brother, the man of God, Shane himself. What's up, everybody? Been a long break, but we are back. We had a bunch of things happen back to back to back, so be expecting to see our pretty faces more often. Well, mine's pretty, his is kind of meh, but we're going to make that happen.
Hey. I like the truth sometimes.
Hey, that's what we're here to give the people something. Thoughts of the truth, I guess.
Yeah.
So today we have a very interesting subject. We're going to be talking about the zombie apocalypse. Well, mostly zombies. Zombie apocalypse is kind of going to be tied into that. Mr. Shane, how would you like to start us off today?
Oh, why you always got to throw it at me first, man?
Hey, I
This is your
gotta lob the ball up to you. You gotta smack it out a home run.
Well, I'll hit it. I don't know where it's going to go. So
It's
first thing
a
we're going to
first base.
talk about is zombies in media, because that's the easy one, right? Is the different depictions of zombies in media,
Yeah.
and like the popular one, of course, is
The
zombies
Walking
are
Dead.
undead monsters that attack people and eat brains, right?
Yeah.
But there's some stuff in there that I think is interesting. Like I always wondered if zombies were real,
hmm
what would they actually respond to?
I
Because in some
think.
media, it's like they can see but not hear, they can hear but not see, they can feel your body heat, or they have all of it, or
Well, that also,
how
like,
would
if
that
you want
actually?
to take it into the way that we depict them in like movies and TV shows, that would also go a lot into which depiction are we going to talk about. Because if you take like say The Walking Dead, very popular TV show, the way they're depicted, they're just feral beings who just look for any type of food, whether it be animals, humans, or anything they can eat. And then you could
And they're
also
they're
flip it to,
they're driven by sound in that, right? If I remember correctly,
I think
but
so.
they can hear. I don't know. I guess they
Yeah.
can see too, maybe.
Uh, I don't know if that's ever been confirmed or not, but definitely sound. And then you can also take the, what was the zombie movie that came out not too long ago? Oh, drawing the blank on it. The one where they was in, the zombies was climbing up the wall.
World War Z.
What was he? There we go. I don't
Yeah.
know why I blanked on that. You could also take the Walking Dead ones and you look at those, and then you can flip them into the World War Z one.
The World War
Those
Z
were
ones were just like rabid animals,
they
right?
were
They were
rabid
just
animals, but they did not go after people who were already infected with something.
yeah,
So
which
like,
was again more of the animal instinct thing,
hmm
staying away from the city.
so as far as that goes, it would really just depend on the depiction because you depict them like The Walking Dead, you go into something like that where they mostly react to sound and maybe smell. Yeah, I'd say smell because episode one when they cover themselves in the zombie blood
Oh
and
yeah, that's
guts,
right, that's right.
so
Yeah,
they'd have to react to smell and sound minimum.
hmm.
So
That's interesting. So that's the thing is I wonder uh, if, of course, we always save the what if for the end, but it
yeah,
seems to me like I wonder where we decided what zombies can do. Who made that decision? Because most popular media picks at least sound, if not the others, and decomposing bodies that can't last long.
yeah, that's a big issue. I think a lot of people will take kind of out of context when it comes to how they depict. A lot of people are like, "Oh, zombies will last forever." No, your body will decay, and eventually you would
Right.
become a pile of mush, and your body would just completely cease function.
Especially depending on your food sources, which would
hmm
be varied and not great. I tell you what, I think part of it is I don't know that we've ever really thought out the idea of zombies, because zombies haven't always been the way that we see them, right?
Yeah.
Like we see it now as undead monsters, but 50 years ago, that's not what zombies would have been considered in most places. Zombies would have
hmm
been the idea of somebody who was just in some kind of trance or hypnotized or under some form of mind control. I've seen a few plays that depict zombies from 30s, 40s, 50s, and in that it was just somebody who was under a spell of some kind or hypnotized by somebody and didn't know what they were doing. There's no gore, no horror, none of that.
I think what happened with that
We took
is
a
the media slash Hollywood came around where motion pictures and stuff became more relevant, and they just wanted a new because most of the movies that came out early on were horror movies, if I do remember correctly. Like a bunch of them was like I don't remember all the older movies. I didn't watch most of them, but most of the older movies they wanted a horror depiction of something. They probably just took having a mindless being like in a trance-like state and turned it into something gory.
so part of it was that, and what that came from is actually voodoo culture. The big thing in voodoo culture is they have the word zombie, but the word zombie for them was reanimated dead. It
Hmm.
was they believed that witch doctors or shamans or whatever you want to call them, they had a powder they could put in a dead body to bring it back to life and
That
under
could
their
be it.
control.
That
And
would be a
Hollywood took
whole
ideas like
episode
that
in
and
itself
blew it
talking
out of the
about
water.
that. Ain't
Do
gonna
what?
lie to you. Talking about some voodoo, that'd be a whole episode in itself. I ain't gonna lie to you.
We can save that for the next one.
Yeah, we can do that another time. Please, anybody that knows
But you're
voodoo,
right.
don't use it on me. I'm
Hollywood
sorry.
media, all that they took that and they ran with it, and so then
Yeah,
it went from being just in that kind of localized area where voodoo was, and spreading a little more widespread. So I don't know if we've ever really thought out what zombies are, how they could happen, whatever. That's why it took so long for Walking Dead to say what the cause of their zombies was. Even that wasn't in the show.
I was about to say, did they actually say that? Because I don't. I mean, I quit watching
S-
it. The
it was a writer or producer, somebody for it said that what it was, but I don't want to spoil that. So if
I,
anybody wants to know,
I
they can look it up. But
okay, I was gonna say I haven't watched since Rick died, so
yeah,
spoiler
it's a really weird one. But
spoiler warning. Sorry,
anyways, yeah.
if you didn't know, he's gone. It's kind of on you at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, the
so I
show's
mean,
about to end though, right? So maybe it'll come out anyways.
I think it's the last season, and then
Yeah, they're
they're doing
filming it right now,
they're
aren't they?
doing a movie to wrap the whole thing. I don't. 'Cause I think that's going to tie into one of the other zombie shows that came out after that. I don't.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It was the one that the dude with the cane, the bow staff. He went from The Walking Dead to the Fear of the
To
Walking
Fear
Dead.
of the
There we
Walking
go.
Dead,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's supposed to tie those two into each other and
Right.
whatnot.
But anyway, so yeah, we talk about different kinds of zombies, and talk about how they operate or how they can recognize people or what they're looking for when they eat people or brains or whatever organs, whatever it is. I, I don't know. I think we base that off of a little bit off of stuff we know is real, and we talked a little bit before this about the
Hmm.
like zombie ants or
Yeah,
basic
or
diseases, the way we
the
see zombie
zombie
like behavior in
deers.
nature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Um,
we could definitely. A lot of people that don't know this, there's a zombie-like virus that goes on with deers. You remember the name of it? It slipped my
chronic
mind.
wasting disease.
Chronic
Yeah.
wasting disease. It is very popular among deer to the point where we have a check-in point where you have to send part of your deer's. I don't know if it's the innards or when you gut it. You have to send that off to another area just to see if your deer is tested positive for that before the butchers will give you your deer meat. I don't know if not many people know that, but like let's take the recent pandemic that has happened to the world. A lot of people don't like COVID came from bats. People what is it? Making bat soup. I don't remember the exact. They
I don't know.
made that,
That's one of the theories. Yeah.
yeah that it came from
Yeah.
eating bats. So take a second
Thanks.
to think like what if you eat one of these zombie deers that have the chronic waste disease, and what if somehow it is able to mutate into a human form? Because basically it just makes them more feral, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't know if that's the best way of saying what happened to them with that, but it makes them more feral. It makes them pretty much in a mindless state, like you were saying.
Well, I say
What?
it makes them aggressive.
Yeah.
It makes them uncoordinated. It makes them aggressive. It makes them slobber and foam at the mouth, and they literally start wasting away. Now, what does
Mm-hmm.
that sound like? Sounds like a
Zombies.
stinking zombie. Like how hard is that to piece together? And it's contagious. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if humans can
It is
catch it or
not.
not.
It's
But
not human transmittable yet.
yeah, yeah,
As far as I
never say
know, it's
yet.
not. I mean, you got to think everything's consistently and constantly mutating into another form, so you never know when the next mutation is the one that can affect a human.
Right.
And
Makes you
also,
wonder if there
if
was a time when rabies wasn't transmissible to humans either.
I
If it
give you that,
evolved.
and I mean, you guys. I
So
mean, look at what is it like? Let's use the flu as an example. The flu has what is it like 67 variants? It evolves every year. It changes every year. I think it might not be that. It's a lot of variants, but it constantly changes and evolves. So what is it? What is it to say that one day maybe the common cold evolves into a state like that? I know that we save the what ifs for the end, but this is just a regular question that I can ask at the moment. At least the way I'm looking at it. you never know what disease or thing is going to mutate into a new form is going to take place and be able to affect humans or affect somebody or the animal
Yeah.
kingdom in a different
Hey,
way.
next thing you know, we're going to get chronic wasting diseases. People, heart rate's going to slow down so much you can't register it anymore. They're going to think we're walking around dead.
And then we're going to have bells tied to our fingers again. Yeah,
Oh
who don't
Lord.
know? People used to, what was it? They would think they were dead and they'd have to tie something to
Yeah,
their
grave
wrist.
robbers were digging
Yeah,
people up and they found scratch marks inside
yeah,
the front of the coffin. So they realized they were burying people alive. So they
yeah.
started tying a string to their finger that went all the way up above the ground to a bell. And if they woke up, they could ring the bell. You could go dig them back up.
But I mean, I feel like you would suffocate before they get to you
That's what I
because
said. I was like, I wonder if that actually worked. I didn't look into it enough to find that out.
I
But
feel like they're like, "Hey, bro, I'm alive," and you can just hear them like, "We're coming." It's just I gotta run to the village and get my shovel.
like, I just wonder, like, you just put the cemetery in the middle of town and have somebody sitting there waiting for a couple days to make sure it doesn't start ringing, or
Well, I mean,
you just hope somebody's going to hear it.
the person who ran the cemetery lived on the cemetery.
Probably, but I still wonder, like you're just assuming somebody's going to hear that bell. like, like what
What
if
if
you're
they're
sitting there ringing it and
asleep?
nobody hears it?
What
It
if you're
just really
asleep?
sucks to be you.
Yeah, that's a really bad day. What man? That would.
They start digging people up and there's still scratch marks. And but this system, we have a system. Well, your system sucks. So, uh, what we
Oh,
talking
that's
about?
crazy.
Zombies. My bad. I'm gonna get us off
Sidetrack.
track.
It happens. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. So zombies. What we talking about? We're talking about animals. Oh, and of course, the big one is the zombie ants. We did talk about that a little
Yes.
bit before we started
Um,
recording.
if I remember
Um,
correctly, that can translate to spiders as well. I think there's
I don't know. I haven't looked
I
into
believe there's a
definitions.
tarantula it does the same thing with a tarantula. But if zombie ants was a fungus, correct?
Yes, it's a
Is a
parasitic fungus.
It's a fungus that infects the ants to the point where it will set them. What is it? It was on the end of a leaf and have them clamp down their jaw, and then pretty much they would die. That way, that fungus could spread further down
Yeah,
and reach
it
other food
once it
sources.
once it kills them, it grows out of them and connects to the plant, and then releases spores from there, which is just disgusting to think about. I mean, just imagine. Anyways, that freaks me out more than regular zombies do, honestly, because it
Hey,
takes over the nervous system and it literally controls their body somehow, even though it's just a plant, and makes them climb up onto other plants to do this. Like, how does that even work?
that's going to be the one that takes us out.
That's it. Like,
What
people
happened to
just
the
start growing
decline
big
of
old
human?
lumps on their forehead and start attaching, like hugging trees for real.
What happened to the decline of the human race? Them damn zombie ants.
Yeah, yes.
They took over our nervous system.
The ones with the mushrooms in their heads. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that would be that'd be an interesting what if. Like I hate to just keep bringing that topic up, but what if somehow
Yeah.
that was able to, let's say, infect a human, and it was instead of it being a plant, it actually was able to take over your nervous system.
Well, the only thing that doesn't scare me about that one is I think it'd be obvious enough and slow enough that we could do something about it.
Well, you got to think.
It's not like those World War Z zombies where you got 12 seconds for somebody something different. That was that would
Yeah,
scare me. That I'd be like, I need somebody with a cold to come sneeze in my face now. Like, whatever we got to do, I'm not ready for this.
you willing to contract COVID again?
Hey, man, third
Whatever.
time's a charm, right?
I
I'm just saying, whatever it takes.
don't
But
know, but you got to
that's
think
the good thing about the
if it
the
took
fungus though is
over.
it takes a while to take over their body. Like they get it and it starts growing on them and eventually affects them.
Okay,
It's
but
not a quick thing.
let's take another disease that you get from an animal that could potentially do that. Like Lyme disease, get that from ticks. That takes a long time for it to hit your body in a way for you to really notice it. What if same thing happened there? It was able to open wound and the spores got into you and it would slowly take over and you just seemed like you had like the flu or something. I feel like I'm making
That's
a
another
solid
good one.
point.
Like you said, talking about how they evolve is when it transmits to a new species.
Yeah,
How would that change it?
yeah.
So you end up with somebody getting it, and all it does to them at first is they just get sleepy all the time, and then one morning they wake up and something else is controlling them, and you didn't have any good warning signs.
Yeah, I mean
That'd
it's
be the slowest moving but creepiest zombie apocalypse
what
ever.
the
Have
only
people just
way.
just shuffling down the street, drooling at you.
Well, I mean,
Like,
you could spin that into a different section. Like, what if it took over your body, but it could still use the attributes you have? So let's say you have a natural athlete. Let's just say a average football player. Just I
wait,
know it.
wait, no. Okay, so you're saying what if Usain Bolt gets this?
Yeah.
Ain't no
What?
outrunning him, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as an example, Usain Bolt gets it. He's the fastest man on earth. What if that controls his nervous system and his nervous system is already adapted to moving that fast? Could could it potentially? Because we're not saying this zombie ant would kill you. We're just saying it's going to take over your
Right.
body. So more than likely, it would just be like kind of like something taking on your consciousness. If your body is already adapted to being the fastest man alive, if something else just takes over, you would still be the fastest man alive. You would still have those attributes for that person, right? I
I'm gonna
mean,
say no.
this is a stretch regardless
Right, right.
because
But I'm gonna say no to that too. Here's why. First thing is the way the ants communicate. Like they all get messages at the same time. For
yeah,
one to break ranks means that it's not working and communicating the way that it's supposed to be anymore. Right.
but it would
So
have
I would assume
mutated
you don't
into
have.
a
I would
human.
assume it doesn't have all their faculties. I'd also say that I think what it is it all it does is alter your brain chemistry to make you look for specific things. So, for example, if it wants you to climb onto the ants to climb onto plants, maybe it makes the chemicals in their brain overproduce a certain one that makes them crave chlorophyll. So they move to a plant, right?
Okay,
Now it may
but
evolve enough to be able to transmit to us, and maybe even evolve enough to where it reacts different. But it's only going to change so many ways at a time, right? Like it's not going to have
yeah,
30
that's
different
true.
ways it changes all at once. So I don't think there'd be enough changes at the same time for it to be something we couldn't immediately catch on to and stop. That's why that one would only scare me if it was like middle of the Amazon, some little village in the middle of nowhere with people that are so isolated and removed, we didn't have anything to do with them until it was already spreading. Then have to
You,
figure out.
you know
Then
how it would
knowing the way
spread.
that
National
people
Geographic Channel. That's
panic
why
and
it would
react, they
spread.
just burn down the Amazon and kill us all anyways.
Mm.
Anyways, I shouldn't have said
Yeah, asshole.
that. I
Didn't
know,
need
right?
to-
Uh,
sorry. But no,
but I tell you what, the World War Z one, that's what scares me.
yeah, I
Because
was
if it
gonna get
was,
to that.
if there's something like that, it's the speed of the conversion that would worry me.
Well, see, I don't necessarily think the speed of the conversion would be the problem. It would be the uh the ability to get away from it. Because if you take all, let's take out of all the zombie movies that are out there, World War Z has the scariest depiction of a zombie because it
Oh yeah,
literally takes a human and puts it in the most feral state that is possible, and whatever attributes you have are heightened because you're nothing but a primitive being at that point. So
and
let's take
they're
Usain
fast and
Bolt, and
strong and have all their
yeah,
senses. Yeah.
let's take Usain Bolt again as a perfect example. You take that man that can run what 31 miles an hour or something like that, and you give him something that's going to make him where he doesn't feel pain or doesn't feel winded. That man's going to run 50 miles an hour. You can't stop that.
We got to stop using him as an example though, because like if it starts with somebody like that, the world's going to end in
Yeah.
half the time. Okay,
Well, I'm
like
just we already used him as
let's
an
start with let's
example.
start with an average Joe and say if an average Joe gets this, okay,
Yeah,
and even
but
then, that's the scariest version
well, you
because
also got to
they
think with
just
the
turned
12
average
second.
Joe into something that ain't average anymore.
Yeah,
Like that's terrifying.
you take the 12-second conversion it takes to become a zombie from that world, and you take an average Joe and you make him, let's say, uh, average Joe to a NFL player level. That's going to be the skill gap that's going to happen when he changes. You take that and put them in a royal situation, that whole neighborhood's gone within probably 30, 45 minutes. Tops.
Okay,
And then you
that
have you take one person that's going to convert somebody in 12 seconds. One's
well,
going to
that's
that's
why.
what's going to
No, no,
damage everything.
like I don't care who gets it first; it'd make a difference. But that's why the conversion rate's what would scare me. If it took an hour, no, not even an hour. If it took 10 minutes instead of 12 seconds, you got time to take out the first one and whoever they bit.
Mm-hmm.
In 12 seconds, you ain't got that kind of time because you don't know what's happening yet. All you've seen is one person attack another person. In 10 minutes, you can figure out the first guy is something's wrong with him. You take him out and he's not dying, and you got to blow his head off to kill. You know you got to watch the second one. You
Mhm.
got some kind of time to react.
That's also a thing
12
that I would
seconds
like
means if
to.
it's happening 12 seconds at a time, it's like a pyramid scheme of death. Okay. Like they get a couple people who are getting a couple people who get a couple people. And in the first minute, you've gone from 1 to 25 and haven't had time to react yet. That's the problem.
That's another thing we can talk about when it comes to zombies specifically. Is it's always depicted as you have to sever the brainstem or destroy the brain to kill them. In any way, let's continue with the World War Z zombies as an example. Say we shot them several times in the chest, would that still take them down, or with them being in a painless feeling state? Because technically, it would shut down organs. It would fill the lungs up with blood. But if they're not feeling the pain, would they still go down if it's not a kill shot to like a headshot?
They would. It would just take a lot longer. Okay, because the pain and the shock are a big factor in any kind of major injuries.
Yeah.
But there's also the blood not working correctly means oxygen not getting to muscles not working correctly. Unless it somehow changed their physiology so much those things weren't necessary anymore, which is really like I know zombies are already a stretch, but that's a stretch even for a zombie theory.
Well, that
Like
that
really
was where
the
my
brainstem thing would be
thing
more
came
of
with
a that's
the
the
zombie ant,
fastest way.
because the zombie ants would take over your nervous system. Therefore, technically, you wouldn't need all of your muscles and everything to work
You would still
properly.
because the way the nerves and the muscles interact, you'd still need them. So it wouldn't be that it didn't work anymore. It's just that the taking out the brain and the brain stem would be the fastest ways to kill them because those are what give commands to the rest of the body.
Yeah.
Right. So and
That
again, that's why you want more than 12 seconds to figure what you got to do.
is
Because if
very
all you
true.
got's a pocket knife, brain stem and brain are kind of tough. Right. Like I need to know that.
Yeah.
I need time to put it on the end of a stick or something. Do some Tarzan work. Whatever I got to do.
Give me
Try
some
to kill it while
MacGyvering
I don't
going
have to
on.
get in his reach. Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to a new, or not necessarily a newer topic or a newer version of it. Is there any current situations that you could see something like that happen? Like we can use the situation that happened in I think 2010, 2011, the bath salt zombie situation. I don't know if
Oh
there's
man.
anything. Yeah, I don't care. But something similar to that. Is there something we can go off on that? I know you said you kind of sort of was looking into stuff like that, and I just wasn't sure what you seen or what you heard.
I've been looking into supposed real zombies that were reported in medical journals. And so far, something like 98% of the ones I've looked at have been things that they proved later were not true. Like there was a Haitian woman who they claimed was buried, but then she started like 3 years later they found her walking around, and it turned out that the tomb was filled with stones that she hadn't actually died. It was she was trying to escape something or whatever. Um, there's a story of a guy who was in a coma.
Oh, if he's in a coma, he wasn't dead, so therefore he wouldn't be a
Well, he was in a
zombie.
coma for a long time, and his lungs weren't working, so he ended up being declared dead and buried. And 18 years later, they found him. Like he just showed up, and he was like, "Hey, I'm that guy." Nobody believed it, but a bunch of people that knew him came and met him, and they were all claiming it was him. And he claimed that he was after being buried, he was dug up and put to work on a plantation and had to escape. So he was enslaved for 18 years, but he was dead and buried. So they're trying to
Golly,
claim that that was a zombie situation, but at the same time, like,
nah.
what if he was just buried alive?
Yeah, I'm not.
Like
I'm not buying
this was
that.
in Haiti in the 60s. Like they weren't exactly caring about a 6 feet under rule.
Yeah, I'm not
So
buying that.
so
So,
I don't know. I can't find any real life scenarios with people. It's just funguses and animals and all that good stuff.
well, let's move on to my favorite topic of the podcast. You know what I like? I like going with the reaches, the speculations, the what ifs. So, what if?
Wait. Which what if are we doing this time? Because you said that would be another interesting what if a minute ago. Which one are you going to go with?
I don't remember what I was meaning by that one. Not gonna lie with you, right over the head. So, just what if hypothetical situation? tomorrow we have World War Z zombies. How long do you think the world population lasts? Honest opinion. I think now,
Wait. Okay, I'd have to clarify with one question
sure.
because I watched that when it first came out. I haven't seen it since, but I'm going to say, if I remember correctly, the outbreak in that started in more than one place around the same time, like around the globe.
It
Are we saying that, or
started,
are we saying it starts off in one centralized location?
let's say it starts off in one location. Let's say it starts off in New York, just because it's a high pop. New York
Yeah.
or California, because they are both extremely high populated states.
With the way they move, interact, 12-second conversion rate, I'd say
I'd say, ooh,
within 3 months. This might be a fast estimate, but I'd say within 3 months, half to all of the United States and most, if not all, of Canada would be over.
you think it
But
would take 3 months?
I don't think it. I think it would take 3 months because I think there'd be some kind of measures put up, whether that be barriers, blockades, uh, trying to trying to shoot them down wherever they've turned up. I just don't think it would work against that kind of zombies. But I think they'd be stopped before it got past Central America and wouldn't go anywhere from Canada. I'm assuming they
Mhm.
would drown if they tried to cross the oceans. And I think if they got down into Central America, it'd be enough of a choke point that they could be stopped until some kind of drastic measure was taken.
Hmm.
That's if it's in one centralized location. If it's not, and if it actually was like World War Z,
Yeah,
man,
all
I
right.
hate to
Oh, well,
think how quickly.
let's say it's like that then. Let's say one infected person on each continent. You
In
still,
in,
you,
populous, in populated locations like New York, Shanghai, those
yeah.
kind of
So like
places.
we'll go like Shanghai, Moscow, New York for us, and oh,
I'd give it 9 months to a year, partially between having to travel across land, measures taken against them, and just the number of people. You think about a place like China or India, places that are that populated, even that close together, it would just take a long time to get to that many people. If it
well,
was all over, I don't think we could stop them.
I don't
So
know
I
if
say,
you take a heavily populated area like India or China or even like I said, California and New York. You take a heavily populated. Let's say you drop them off in Times Square, right in the middle. Boom. He bites one. That one, like you said, it's a pyramid effect. I don't think it would take 3 months. Completely honest.
really?
Well, let's. This is going to sound like I'm hating on our government. I'm not, but they.
No, no, no.
This is
Okay.
not what I'm meaning by this. Our government acts extremely slow when it comes to situations like that. So by the time New York's gone within, or New York City, I'll say that will be gone in
I
within
say day
five
5 to day
hours.
7.
I don't
I
even
was
think
going to
it'd be
give
that long.
no, no,
I
and
think,
here's why. It'd be simple stuff like people being able to barricade themselves in higher floors of skyscrapers.
yeah. I mean, I could see that definitely,
So I say day
but
5 to day 7.
New
At that
York's
point,
New York will
they
be
can't.
completely gone off the map
Oh yeah.
before our government or anybody has a real reaction to what is going on.
See, I disagree with it only because I think you're thinking federal government. I don't think
Yeah,
every
that's.
level of government would react that slowly. I think there'd be kind of outlaw stuff. There'd be sheriff's departments, maybe state
I
level
agree,
governments
but I also
reacting to
think
some degree that
I
would
think you
drag out
add
that three
that
months.
you add that with the mass chaos that is going to outbreak. People are going to panic, tremendously panic. They're not going to think,
Well,
"Hey, I
you might be right
can
on the New York thing. I'm talking about why I think it would take 3 months for the whole country.
off the whole
Because
country."
there'd
Okay,
be
yeah,
there'd be pockets of resistance, right?
yeah, definitely.
And I'll say that would be canceled out a little bit by stuff like redneck Jim Bob with a shotgun thinks he can go out there and take care of these guys. Well, he's gonna die, right? So he's not helping anything. Okay,
You,
but there'd be
you see
some
this,
level of resistance that
you see
wasn't
the
so
swords
severe.
behind me. That would be me.
Just
I'd be
one
like,
in one hand, go run over.
I've been training for this my whole
Hey,
life.
you get that pretty little warhammer there, and that naginata you got, and go. You might take a few out, but when they move like the World War Z zombies, you're only going to kill
Oh,
a few.
see, this is the thing. I'm taking the little Tonto right there. That's the thing I'm going to work with because it's light and I can move fast with it. I'll have the
Yeah, yeah,
hammer in the other
but
hand, but
no, no, you want reach. So you got to think about how strong they are. You need reach.
have you seen me? I'm built like a brick house. No, I'm just kidding. Let me
That's
stop.
just more for them to bite, man. You better
Yeah, I
calm
know.
down.
I already know. No, I mean,
But yeah, but
I think
that's why
everybody.
I'd say conservative. I don't think the federal government would ever do anything in that case. I think they're so slow nothing would happen. They'd be overrun before it did.
Well,
But I
hell,
think
they're
maybe
all 80, 90 years old. Of course
some
they're slow.
places.
Sorry, let me quit talking shit about them.
Yeah. But yeah,
But yeah,
I
I'd
still say
say
3
in
months
that
for the
case,
country.
I can
I
see
say
that now that you bring up the fact that local governments and stuff would step in, but still, there's a lot of conservative states. They're gone. I'm sorry, they're not gonna.
you think the conservative states would go first?
I meant liberal, but I didn't want to say it.
No, no. I mean, you're right.
No, the
I know what I
anti-gun
want to say.
nuts would probably
Let me.
be. I'm trying to say it without offending people because I know there are liberals that are really good people and they don't fully agree with everything, but I also know
Places
that goes with
liberal
everybody.
gun with what would be considered the liberal wing gun
Yes,
policies
that's
would
what
be
I
in
mean.
trouble.
That's what I mean.
Yes,
So like
that's
California's gone because have you seen the list of things you have to have a gun permit there?
no,
Ridiculous. I'm sorry, California, get your shit together. I'm sorry, I'm saying that live. Copyright it, print it out. I'll put that on a t-shirt.
no. Okay, so here's the cool thing about that. I say cool. It's actually terrible, right? But like you go somewhere like China where they're so
They
like
would have it.
so
They would
they're
probably
so
have it shut down in a
totalitarian that
day.
like there's no telling what kind of actual gun ownership there is there, and they've got so many people that they're stacked right on top of each other everywhere you go. But they're also in like everything's a skyscraper. Like you go into the big cities and
Hmm.
everything's skyscraper. They're all actually stacked on top of each other. So I wonder how long they could last.
See,
But the only problem with that is they can't go out and get resources.
see
Is why it
my
would still
issue
go pretty quickly.
with that would be a double edged sword for them, specifically just how everything is set up. One, yes, they are stacked on top of each other, so you get them in the right circumstances, China would be gone. But at the same time, the way all of their stuff is set up, in the right circumstances, they'd have that shut down.
No, I don't think they would. And here's why. So what happens is the creatures are running wild. You got a 12-story apartment building, and everybody in that apartment building makes the top 3 floors. They can't get down to go look for food. And there's who knows how many people on those 3 floors of the apartment building fighting each other for every resource, running out of every resource in no time. They just die out on their own without having to worry about the monsters. Or they end up trying to make a run for it and getting killed. So they're still gone. It would just take a little bit longer.
All right. My last what if question I'm going to ask before we end
Oh,
today. Do you see at any point? All right, let's change it from World War Z zombies. Let's change it to Walking Dead level zombies. Let's say that happens in another heavily populated area, New York, California, just because we're using them as example. Let's say we take them. Do you see? Well, let's take the world. My bad. Scratch what I was saying. Take the world like World War Z was happening, except with the Walking Dead level. Do you see at any point of us being able to completely, fully shut that down before
yes,
it gets out of control and out of hand before anybody knows what's going on?
absolutely. I don't understand how that depiction of a zombie could cause as much trouble as it does in our media. Between how they move kind of slow, between them only registering certain things. I mean, like if you can just have zombie guts on you and walk by them, that is not hard, right? Like it's gross, but it's not hard. They're slow. I don't know how they're
Oh,
supposed to
you
be.
got to
Like
take
if you see
the
something like
horde
Z
mentality
Nation,
into
that's
effect.
different. The what?
Yeah, you got to take the horde mentality into effect.
Even then, I don't think they really have time to develop into a horde.
Oh no,
I don't
you
know
take
what it
that
would take
into
unless they started like kind of like you said earlier. If they maybe started in a rural area and somehow managed to get like take over a rural area and then
yeah.
start moving into more populated areas,
Let's say they
maybe
did that. They took it from the outskirts of California, and they slowly worked their way into the center, into the bigger cities and everything.
even
But
then,
by the time they make it to a bigger city, their numbers are hundreds of thousands at
I,
least. And
I
then by the
think
time you got 100,000 zombies coming at you, and I mean, yes, they are slow and they're very, in my opinion,
right, but
in the show, easy
those
to take
numbers,
out. Yeah, and
those
that
numbers, yeah,
number, yeah, you're going to take out a couple thousand, but they're still going to make it to you, and then
well,
they're going to infect the bigger city, and then
see,
you're going to have, and I
Walking
will,
Dead didn't think it out though,
well,
and I
see,
know,
this is
we're
going to
just
be
talking
my
specifically
bigger
books.
argument for what I'm leading up. Yes, we're going to be able to contain it, but you're also going to have those assholes like they are in the TV shows where they'll get bit right here, and then everybody goes away and they look it up and they're like, oh no, that is going to be the downfall, in my personal opinion.
I don't think so. I think the way we usually depict zombies, it just doesn't work. In fact, even in The Walking Dead, they only had one saving grace for how zombies could have gotten as widespread as they did. And that, spoiler alert, all right, if you haven't seen Walking Dead, this is big, okay? Is you don't have to be bit by a zombie to become a zombie.
Yeah, it was
Their thing
airborne
was
in theirs.
everybody's already infected with it, so no
It's just
matter
when
how
you,
you die, you
yeah,
become one.
when you die,
If not for that, they wouldn't have gotten as bad as it did. And the fact that they didn't know that in time to stop it was a big thing.
you know how that happened. I can tell you, zombie ant spores
Is that what it
became airborne.
yeah. The wind just blew it everywhere. Yeah.
All right. Well, that is how we're going to wrap it up for today. Y'all will be seeing us a lot more often. I promise. We have our schedules kind of worked out where we can get back here more often. I appreciate anybody that has, dealt with us having a very long break and are going to come back and still support the content. Y'all are loved and appreciated. We have an email set up that will be in the link, or not link, the description down below. If y'all have any ideas you want to hear us talk about, and it doesn't matter what it is, we'll talk about it. We enjoy talking about things. You can email that, or you can comment it. Let us know. If y'all know me directly, my links will be down there for my Twitch and all my other socials. If y'all want to message me directly and potentially have a chance to be on the podcast with us, just let us know. But until then, thank y'all. And until next time, y'all have a great day. Bye.